everyone, welcome back. It's Angela. Lovely to have you. If you've never been here before, I'd like to wish you a really warm welcome. And of course, to everybody who supports me week in and week out. Hello guys, lovely to have you here again. Now, I was very fortunate to be invited to take part in one of Rach and Bella's Rach and Bella Crafts collaboration. This is the second year that she's running this particular one called Junk Journal Tips, Tricks and Hacks. And it's my turn today. So I hope that you are following along and supporting everybody. I want to say thank you to Rach for putting this together. It's a hell of a lot of work and we do appreciate it. I don't know where you find the time, my dear, but thank you. Right, so Rachel has already started with the first video on the 1st. So please go and have a look at that. There will be details of who's taking part. You'll find a playlist in my description box below the video and a link tree so you can follow along with these people. And if you're in my Facebook group, I do put out the link to the video for every day for the month of February. All right, so do come and follow along. We do look forward to seeing you here and watching and seeing your comments and hopefully creating along with us. So without any more of that, I'm the 4th of Feb today, so that's me. I'm going to put that to the side and get started. Now, I thought I'd like to share some bits about scraps, paper scraps. I mean, I know when I first started seeing people make things with scraps, I wanted to make those things. And when I first started, I didn't really have many scraps. So that was a thing. But you know what? That changes so quickly. And now, if you don't get a handle on it, you can have mountains of scraps, which I'm sure you're all smiling now because you have mountains. I had a clean out recently and I will say I had to start throwing out a few things because I keep everything. It's really bad. I'm terrible. Anyway, I thought I'd show you what I like to do with scraps. Now, I'm predominantly focusing on my paper scraps. I will bring in a couple of fabric scraps, but I do have a couple of other videos which you can, I'll try and remember to put the links in the description box below that you can have a look at before. Now, really, those are the main two types of scraps that I seem to collect a lot of, fabric and paper. Now, paper could be printed kits. It could be kits in packs that you buy already in pads or that sort of paper. Could be music paper scraps, any kind of scrap where you've used it and there's bits over and now what do you do with this? Well, hopefully today I can give you a little bit of enlightenment on that. Now, I'm not saying that these are ideas unique to me. These are just things I do. And I'm hoping that you can look at scraps in a whole new way. I find myself looking at the tiniest bit now and thinking, oh no, what can I do with that? And it challenges me and I do enjoy myself. All right, so magazines is also a great way to use up scrappy bits. And I wanted to show you, last year I did some tags. And this particular one, this is using scraps. And then I've just put on fussy cut flowers. This bit background here and here, that's all to do with magazines. All right, so scraps from magazines. I love the font. I loved that. I think that one had a bit of green beans and you were all laughing about you'd never seen green beans look so good. Well, this is most of this except for the flower and the butterfly is really paper scraps that come from magazines. So it doesn't have to be, you know, printed stuff. This is all sorts of different scraps. And again, I've just stuck on a couple of a fussy cut and then using other scraps, die cuts and things, and they can really look pretty. All right, so don't think that, oh, what can I do with that? Challenge yourself, and I'm going to give you some ideas today. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about with regards to paper is the long strips that we get. You know, the long strips of paper that sort of look like this. They're long the length of the page, or we get even thinner scraps. I'm trying to grab one here. So, you know, thinner scraps, these sort of bits. And what do we do with this? Well, I'm going to start off first of all and show you what I tend to do with the thicker bits, first of all. So this is just one of my containers. I've collected loads of the wider ones, so you can see the width here. I like to make paper ruffles and sew them. You can glue them as well, don't have to sew. That's one of the things. I like to also tear it up in bits and make page edge decorations for my journals. All right, so these are just different scraps, and I'm going to show you quickly here. I tear them up into bits about that size or that size. It just depends on what the scrap is, you know, whether it's a digital or it's narrower, and I make all sorts of different bits like that. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to show you in a minute a little project with, I've got about 3 or 4 projects to share with you, and they won't be too long, I hope. So go and grab the pieces of paper. This is my latest project. I'm working on a book lover's journal, and as I'm making these scraps, I'm tearing them up and putting them into pieces already. I will then use these and make a lot of these and other things to decorate my journal with, so nothing goes unused. Now, I particularly love font, or collage page, or music paper is a favorite. I love combining a little bit of text or font or music with pattern pieces. So don't be afraid to collect those and have them ready, because when these things are ready like this, you now have a base to put something else on and decorate your pages. You know, this kind of a thing here where you add, and I'm just grabbing something random. You might want to make some scraps out of, the narrow ones that fit those narrow strips. You might want to add that to your bit there. I mean, I'm not saying these match at the minute. I'm just grabbing what's here. And another one there. And you want to start creating something very pretty. All right, so that's what I encourage you to do. Now, with the longer scraps, I do like to cut out die cuts with them, the narrow ones. So this sort of piece that will fit on there, or the lavender sprig, the Sizzix lavender is a favorite of mine. Or I've even got some of these, they're narrow. But yeah, any of the lavender sort of narrow shapes and things work perfectly for that sort of thing. This is another one that would work well with those narrow strips. It doesn't have to be card, it can be paper, and that one that I showed you here, it's made from paper. All right, so there you go. If you don't have a die cut machine, use your punches. Now, punches is something I use a lot of as well, and I've put a couple of things here. Circles, shapes. Can't go wrong with shapes. I have 4 large circle punches from 2 inches down to 1 inch, and anything that will fit that little scrappy bit, I cut out in shapes. These shapes can be used for all sorts. For example, I like to do altered paper clips, and I've done a video on that before. I like to use them for all sorts of things. I'm going to show you how I use this in a moment. These particular sizes I love, because what I do with this is I use it as a little circle with the eyelet on my tags, and that's what I use those for. All right, so there you can see a whole lot of different ones. These I've kept because they go with my latest journal, and I'm going to be drawing those out when I make my tags. So shapes are a great one, and lots of different ways to use that. Okay, now if you do have a die cut machine or a punch, you can use, when you're making die cuts, and I grabbed one of these here, often you have little spaces in between. So here's another one, like here, where there's nothing that can really fit on there. Now what I do is I either take a punch or I take a die cut, and I cut out these small flowers. All right, so these little ones like that, and you'll see I'll use it a little later in a little project. Okay, so those will fit in between here, and I'll have a whole load of those. Before I throw this in the bin, I make sure I make use of every little piece here. And you can see I've already started doing it here and there, and I will finish all of this till there's absolutely nothing left of this. So I'll get my money's worth, and I encourage you to do the same. And again, when I'm crafting, I've got all these things in front of me in my little containers like this, and they're good to go. And they inspire me to think, oh, let me use that, let me try this, and that sort of thing. Right, now with punches again, I've got a little banner flag thing. Those are great. Now I like these because you can either glue two together for the little strings when you're sewing your signature in. I do that. You can also put little bits together and use it in a decoration, which I will show you in a minute. So there's that. I've got a small little heart one where you can put a little heart onto a little banner and pretty it up like that. So don't be afraid to invest in a couple of these. I mean, these ones I didn't even buy new. I got these off eBay secondhand, and they work a charm and perfect for that. So even if you've got other shapes, for example, I've got a hexagon shape, you know, all of these things, cut out whatever you have from those paper scraps. Okay, I wanted to show you a couple of things. One more thing I thought, if you've got little elements in a background sheet of paper, so a background sheet of paper that's part of a journal kit or something, when I've got scrappy bits, I tend to cut out all the little elements that I can use. This one's from my book lovers background pages, but I like to use the little elements. So any bit that remains from that page that I'm not using, I cut them all out and I put them here, and I'll show you how I use those as well. Last bit, any bit of tea stained paper. This is an actual old book page. This I find really useful for stamping on. All right, so that sort of thing. I invested in a set of these. These are called, and I leave it in here because I never remember the name, Contact USA. These are stamps, and they click together like that. You can make up the words. So for example, here's love. They all click together, and then I just use my archival ink, and I stamp them onto the little edge bits of the book page that I have torn off. All right, and then I just tear around it, and there you have something that looks like that. And that looks great in any sort of little embellishment that you want to make. Okay, so those are my tips for fabric, well, for paper for the most part. For fabric, I collect every little scrappy bit that I have cut off and I put it in here. Whether that's a bit of sari, whether it's a little bit of tulle, whether it's a lace bit, fabric bit, whatever it is in here, because I will find a use for this. And as I said, I've got quite a few videos on what I do with scraps, and I encourage you to look for them if you've got anything that you think, oh, I've got a lot of this or a lot of that. I draw from this little bundle and make all sorts of things. I'm going to show you some of the things that I make now. All right, now one of my favorite things to do is to decorate. I think it's my favorite part of journal making. I have now pulled out from that box that I showed you earlier. So we've got this where we've got all these bits and pieces that I've got ready to go, and I've just pulled out 3 pieces here. So I've got one that's got a little bit of font, I've got a little bit of lilac, and this pattern piece that was over from a project that I did. Now what you want to do is, I'm going to make this for the left side. Obviously you can turn it around and make it for the other side. I tend to keep the straight side on the one side. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. I'm going to just stick these together, and the only rule here is I want to keep the left hand side straight so it can go up against the edge of the page. And then I've got another little piece here, and I'm just going to get that stuck down. Now it goes like that, and then I'm just lining it up with this, and we've got a little edge there. Now, as you saw me do with these, you can go and sew that right like that. I'm not going to do it now, but you can go and do that. You can also add on a little bit like that onto that and sew it then, or just sew that bit. It's up to you. I'm going to stick this little bit on, and I'm going to stick it just like that. And I'm not going to glue it. I'm not going to glue it. I am going to glue it, but I'm not going to stitch it, just to show you that you don't always need to use a sewing machine. This one I'm going to just tuck over there like that. All right. It is at this point that I would stitch straight down there, and it's just for decorative effect, nothing more. Right, this is when these little elements come into play now. Die cuts come into play, and some other little goodies that I like to collect and use are buttons. I've got lots of buttons that I have around me, and this is all to do with whatever I'm working on at the time. I'm just grabbing, I had little flowers somewhere. So little flowers, your fussy cut butterflies, or any of your little bits that you like to use. Now for me today, I'm going to grab a couple of die cuts. So this is one that I've cut out from a text. It's just a book page, and I'm going to stick that on there like that. And then this is just a pinker one where I'm picking up the pinks there, and I'm going to cross them over like that. All right, so actually I think I'll have this one this way and that one that way, something like that. All right, let's stick it down. So we'll start with this one, and this is the lavender bit that I love cutting out of scrap bits, except especially those thicker edge strips, those long ones that we all have in our scrap pile from cutting, from sizing something and it's not quite right. Okay, so I've got this one here, and I'm going to just sort of lean it over to the one side, and it doesn't matter if it goes over the edge of your page. I love things that go over the edge of the page because, you know, it's my silent defiant behavior, you know, silently defiant, that's it. I like to bend the rules. I'm very rule orientated and things, but when it comes to going over the edge of the page or coloring outside the lines, I'm all for it. Right, so there we go. So we've got that there now, and that looks cute. Now I'm going to take one of these little goodies that come out of here. It's just one of the little elements. It's a scroll. I've cut it out of my page, and I'm going to just put this on as well. And you can see how it's all coming together here. I've got a little flower that I've just sewn one of my mother of pearl buttons on with some embroidery thread. And I've got this little scroll, and it's a case of just positioning it where I want it. So yeah, let's go over this way. And then we can stick that there a little bit higher. And then I can stick this down. Now, bearing in mind that most of this stuff is from scraps, you can now see that when you had to put that on the edge of your journal page, how pretty that is going to look. Yeah, and these are bits that you would otherwise just have no use for. So that's the first one. So then I wanted to show you, this one's not really this is more of a cluster. So I've got a bit of fabric here. I've got a bit of wallpaper here, and this is just one of my background pages, my cream lace page. I've got a scrap of that. And again, this is just a case of layering these things up, and it comes from my scrappy bit there. So I want to just put some glue on the back here, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. That's the good news. So I'm going to just stick this at the top there like that. There's no glue coming through, so that's okay. And then I'm going to just stick this one in the front of that. So we'll do that. And wallpaper is so nice to work with. I like the feel of it. I'm just laying these, so you can see I've got them at different heights and different levels and things. This would make a lovely little cluster bit where you could stick it onto anything really, a pocket. You could make a tuck spot, or again just at the bottom of the page. Now I've got a couple of die cuts again, just bringing out those pinks, keeping them thinner, and I'm going to go further than the edge of the paper on this occasion, I think. So that's just up to the third one. I'm just getting my, remembering not to glue beyond what I require here. Put that one that side, and then we'll do the same with this one. So where do I want that one? I want that one a bit lower, I think. Yeah, so, and we'll just decorate it a little bit like that. Okay, now again, just taking a few bits. I've taken a little bit of that paper, tea stain paper I've stamped. I've taken another 2 elements, and I love using the elements. So go and have a look on any of your paper that's printed, whether that's a pad of paper or a digital, and go and look for any elements, whether it's stamps, flowers, or anything really, and cut them out. And you can use them for decorations in a different way. So I'm going to stick this here. I brought a bit of blue into the picture. This is a coffee bean heart. We're going to put that just over there like that. Yeah, and then I'm going to just put this word straight across there. Okay, I think I'm happy with that one. Now you can add all sorts to this, you know, and I do have a tendency to want to add butterflies and all sorts. But again, how cute is that? Yeah, so we've got 2 little bits that you can add to a really plain tea stain page, and it's going to look lovely, and you're ready to write on it. There you go. All right, so I've got another one now that's going to be more this way. So just want to grab that for you quickly. Right, so I've got a little scrap of fabric. I've got a little bit of wallpaper again. I have got a little bit of music paper as well. So I'm going to get these sort of stuck like that. So we're going more rectangular this time. So again, just want to make note of where I put the glue and where I don't at this point, because everything will end up being glued, but not right at the second. So I'm going to have a bit of that fabric sticking out, which I like. And then I'm going to stick this one just on the top there, I think. So again, not all the way up. Now I hope that you're watching all of those lovely videos that everybody's put out, and there's some lovely ladies with the most amazing skills to share with you. So do go and have a look at what they're doing. While I'm talking and sticking this down, I'm going to just put a little die cut here to go over the top. So yeah, all sorts of amazing tips and tricks to share with you. So do go and have a look. I will be watching, because you know, you can always learn from somebody else. I definitely find that. And yeah, I think it's definitely a playlist to have in your arsenal for sure, for any journal maker. Right, so we've got that there. I got this little bit from, I think this is from my Easter kit long ago, and I just tore that out. It was in my box of scraps. So we're going to add that on like that, and I'm going to just put it like this. Yeah, and then, oh, I had a little bit of lace. Let's put the lace on. So I'm going to just lift this up a bit. Thank goodness this glue's forgiving on the fabric. So I just want to, I've got a little scrap of lace that I've taken out of there, and I'm going to just put some glue on the top here, and also on the bottom there. And then we can drop that and see. Just wanted it peeking through a little bit like that. There we go. Perfect. All right, so I've got a little typewriter that came out of that little box there. This is all to do with that kit, my book Lover's Bliss, in case you're wondering. Okay, I want to just put this at the angle here. And then I thought with these little flowers that I showed you earlier, which you can get punches or die cuts for, you know, metal dies, I'm going to just put 2 of them on the other end here. And, you know, and you can go and sit down and make loads of these in front of the telly. You can go and cut out all these bits with your punches. And then you can just make an afternoon of making all these little strips and things and have them ready to go, especially when you're starting a new project and you want certain colors. Go and look for all those colors and pull out what you think will work for you. All right, so this one just needs a little bit of glue over here. And there we go. We've got a nice little cluster now, and I think one thing's missing here, and it's just a little pearl. So I just want to put a little pearl there. I'm a stickler for details, that is for sure. Now these pearls have lost their sticky, so I just need to do this to make sure that it's, there we go. How cute is that? So that's definitely a sweet little one. Beautiful little cluster for the bottom of the page, and I think it's just perfect. Now with those really thin strips of paper that you get, and I had one of them over here, so when it comes to really thin bits or even thinner than this, I have a great idea for you to try. And I haven't shown this before, but it is definitely something I spent making when I was talking on the phone to my mum. And what this is cutting thinner strips. So I was just taking my craft knife and I just made these really thin strips, and they were like quite thin. So I'm taking an already thin strip and I'm cutting it even thinner. All right, so there's no specific detail for this, but grab this, and then I was just messing about and folding them like this. All right, now you want to have a look at the colors on there. That side's quite plain, this color side's a little bit more exciting, and then I was making these sort of loops while I was talking to my mum. And then what I did was I sort of made a lot of them. I stuck them together just at the base like this, and there we go. Just put a little dot of glue there, and I did that. And I took one of my little circles, so just one like that, and I ended up sticking those around like that. I did a whole half circle. Now I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but really it's just a case of taking this, putting another little bit of glue on there, and putting it onto the circle like that, and then just moving them around and around, which I'll show you now. So as simple as that. It was great if you're talking to your mum on the phone. All right, so I ended up with that, like that. Okay, so what I do here now is I've got this whole circle. I'm just going to fold this back. You can see I've just stuck it on there, and I'm going to just fold this back here like this. Now this is the first time I've ever done this, but I had a great time with this. Right, so you've got like a half circle there, and all from these tiny thin little bits, which is amazing. Now I've taken a pocket of mine, so this is just a pocket, and I'm going to open it up first of all so it'll be easier for me, and I wanted to stick that on there. All right, so I also grabbed one of my little die cuts in the aquatones. This is part of the color scheme, so that's why it's not green. And you want to just get some glue on that like that. And now I'm going to position that over there, but I wanted to just get this down first just because it's easier. There we go. And now I'm going to take this bit and make it looks like a flower. And just get lots of glue onto the back of that, and of course the center bit. You can cut that center bit down instead of gluing it. I'm just getting the center, finding the center here, like that, and I'm just going to hold that for a second. I might need to just take my little clips and just get that in place while I carry on here. Okay, so we've got all of that. It looks like a little half flower. All right, I've got 2 little bits that need to go on there, but I'll just show you the last little goodie while we're waiting. And that is to do with ribbon. So if you've got like scrappy bits of ribbon like I do, I like to make a little loop with that. All right, so probably like that. Make it a bit longer because I will need to cut off a piece. You never know, I might find a use for that. You never know. So I'm going to just keep that like this for the minute. And then it's those little banners I talked about. And those little flowers again. So I've got a little darker purple one. And then one that's from that book page. So I'm going to just stick this down quickly. And these are great for, like you would term, mass making, I suppose. And the more of these little goodies you have to use, you know, they just inspire you when you're making projects. I've got quite a lot that I've made and then made lovely projects from, and really it's so easy when you have a lot of that stuff made up front. There we go. Move this out the way. And then I've just grabbed 2 of my little elements again. So I've got the little heart and the little book. I'm going to grab my little ribbon, put some glue on just to keep this in like a little loop. You can do this with sari, you can do it with lace, you can do it with fabric, anything you have. And then I want to just take that, stick these 2 together first of all. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue there and just angling it like that. Right, now I'll put some more glue on just because I know where I want it now. Okay, and then we want to just get some more glue on the back there. And then we can put our little ribbon bit like that. Yeah. And then we want to just put that on here as well. But I'm going to stick this little banner bit on there, on the book. So this is just another little way, little bits like this that you want to finish off a little decoration. All right, so I'm going to put those over there again. We'll get back to this and I'll finish this off and then we're done. Sure you're sick of me by now with all my bits of paper. Right, and then I've just got my little flower. I've just sewn a little button on there with some embroidery thread. There we go, just knotted it through. I'm going to put big dollop of glue on this one, and then that'll just fit nicely over there. And again, I'm not worried that it's sticking over the bottom because this pocket will end up being stuck on a page, so that's fine. You might want to just distress ink the top of it. Lightly. You can do it as dark as or as light as you choose. So there we go. And then we've got our little pocket, and I've got a little butterfly as well. So, you know, got to bring those in. And then we can just put that just over there, I think. And I think, how has that transformed your whole pocket? And most of that is a scrappy flower that you've made, a half flower. All right, so there's our little example that we didn't need. of little goodies that I've made, some big, some small, but all just using scraps. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you can find that of some use, you know, whether it's layering up tags, journal cards, making master boards, this kind of thing to decorate pages in your journal, or just, you know, anything to do with journaling. Go and have some fun with them. Look at those scraps in a different way, and go and have some enjoyment. I find it really relaxing to do. All right, everybody, that's me for the junk journal tips, tricks, and hacks. Please go and support the other people that are coming up. There's some fantastic people going to share all the wonders with you. So I hope that you enjoy looking out for them and have some fun this month. I will see you guys in my very next video. So that'll be on Sunday. Stay well, keep warm, and have some fun. See you all, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.